All right, so now
So here a little bit later, the interzonal
player.
tournament from Palma de Mallorca in 1970. That was one of the biggest success from Bobby. He was coming back to play at the highest level. And you remember, I told you he won the championship. I mean, one of the strongest interzonals ever. He won with 3.5 points advance, the difference between first and second, which is
It's huge.
huge, fantastic result, So here we have the same opening, the Benoni, Bobby with black. Very important theoretically because Uhlmann was in that time, together with Hübner, the best German grandmaster, and the game could be very important theoretically, So, okay, bishop f4, a6, move order again, very important. a6 is very important because on bishop g7, for instance, very big mistake. Bishop b5, check, gives very strong initiative for white, you see.
So, sorry.
Instead of a6, bishop g7, very bad mistake, Here, bishop checking b5, and, you have to move the king. Because if you put there, he has time to take, for instance, in d6. And,
okay.
Yeah, and that's very unpleasant for black, All right, so it's not good. And a6, of course, a6, a4, bishop 0. Now is okay. Knight f3, castle. Okay, bishop e2, rook, bishop g4. Yeah, theory, everything theory. Bishop g4, the best line for both. Bishop g4, castle. And now h3, mistake. Unbelievable mistake. Here you lose by force a pawn. Nobody could believe such a thing. But immediately here, black is winning a pawn. Of course, h3 is mistake. The best move was probably to play immediately knight d2. If he played knight d2, the game is more or less complicated, Okay for black, but it's not winning. I mean, he doesn't win a pawn. But right now, he wins a pawn because everything is forced. You have to take in e4 because if you took in g4, for instance, now if you put back...
yes.
Yeah. Now he takes there, and now when you take, instead of taking immediately, he takes the bishop from g4.
Yes.
Yeah, and now bishop takes c3. Bishop takes c3. B takes c3, knight takes c3, and everything comes with tempo, attacking the queen and attacking the bishop, and he, completely winning for black, afterwards, you see. So, all right, unpleasant moment, and he took in e4, hoping to get some play for the pawn, you see. He took, now okay, he has to move the bishop, because if he took in g4, rook takes f4, clearly better for black.
Yeah.
So bishop g5, all right, queen e8. Now again, if you take there, rook takes e2.
Yeah. Still not good.
So bishop d3, what else? No, bishop d3. Now he has time to take, of course, queen takes. And from now on, we see what happens in our game here. Uhlmann with white tries to play for initiative, of course. It seems that he has something, a little bit for the pawn. He comes very quickly with rook e1, and now, of course, black plays quickly the bishop in e5. Now, if white tries to play against this line with bishop f6, you see, bishop f6, knight d7, clearly better for black.
Knight b7?
Knight d7. Now, if you take in e5, knight takes e5, and excellent for black,
Mm-hmm.
Then he moves the queen, and okay, clearly better winning, you see. So, right, so now he has to try to come into play. He's hoping now that black in one moment takes another pawn in b2, but of course Bobby doesn't take the pawn. He comes with the knight into play, knight, what did he play? He took the pawn, yeah. Now he took the pawn, he takes, and now f4. Now, if he has time to, after bishop takes b2, rook e8 check, and has a good hope because the two pieces from there, knight b8 and rook a8, didn't play, and this is important. If the pieces don't play, white has a good chance, But of course, now he gives check, of course, and knight d7. Now he's all right, he keeps the pawn for the moment, and any endgame later on is clearly better for black and with very good tactical chance to win, you see. And from now on, it's a real demonstration, of course. Rook e7, the best move. Knight f6. Now, of course, he could take in f6 and take in b7, but is without any hope for white. You know, black is playing alone afterwards, you see. Pawn up and the weak pawn from b2 winning later, you know, in a few moves. Okay, so now he tries to, you know, to have a very complicated game until the end. You know. Until, I mean, he has a good job, much better than taking in d5, because if he takes there after f5, is a little bit, a small hope for white, you know. Knight h5 is much better. You know? Because now the knight h5 comes with tempo. He wants to give immediately a check in g3.
Yes.
And he wins a fantastic tempo with this possibility, you know. You have to move the king, you know. And now, again, move by move, you know. Bishop is here. And now again, everything is forced, you see, until the end. So what to do? Bishop e2, the last hope, you see. Now he takes, rook takes. Good, now. And now he played rook d6. I mean, the last hope is to attack the pawn from d6.
Yeah.
Not from a6. a6 is not very important. The important pawn is in d6. You see.
In order to push
So,
the...
yeah, so he took, and now, of course, he defended the pawn, and black has a very strong initiative in endgame. See, now we have an endgame, but the endgame is winning for black, you see. Until the end, we'll see how, you see. He's winning because he had very good structure. The knight is better than the bishop. The pawn from d5 is weak. The pawn from b2 is weak. And he has only to demonstrate how he can win, you see. Well,
let's see.
Bishop g7. No, it's very easy, you'll see, but very impressive, of course, no? Bishop b5. I mean, he tries to come in such a position where he controls a little bit the squares, and maybe he has a small chance to attack the pawn from d6. This is the idea, you know. So, all right, king d5 coming into play, you know. So now it seems, okay, finally white, you know, has something, all right. Because the rook in f8 is a little bit, you know, passive, you know. So check, king d4, and now, okay, we attack the pawn, and now look what happens. He arrived in that position, and now simply knight f6 and white resigned. Why? Because if he takes now in d6, the king is coming back, and zugzwang.
Oh. Yes.
Fantastic, no?
Yes.
So simple.
Yeah, and finally he managed to get there.
Yeah, the only idea, you know, okay, he could attack the pawn from d6.
And for
when
me,
he attacks the pawn from d6, he resigned 2 moves, you see, right?
Yeah.
Terrible. Because, you see, because of this, the position is very safe for black. No, you know, no weakness at all. The king is fantastic compared, you know, look what kind of a king in d4.
Yeah.
The king from h2 doesn't play, no? The rook from f8 is a little bit passive, but you have a pawn up with black, and the knight is much better than the bishop, you see.
Yeah, for me,
Any endgame is completely winning for black, you see.
Yes.
Any endgame. Doesn't matter.
This knight
Now,
like...
if you move the rook, now, let's say you move the rook to b7, for instance, now we have time to take the pawn, you see. Now we can take knight takes d5. Yeah? We took another pawn. Knight takes d5. The knight from there, we take the pawn. Now let's say the rook is coming back to d7. And now when you come back to d7, I come back to e5 with the king. Everything is under control, and black has 2 pawns. You see, magic. Magic. Class, high class, very high class. You know. Highest level. But it seems so level. And Uhlmann was, you know, extra strong grandmaster, you know, in that time. Demonstration. Yeah. Fantastic game. What can you say?
Magic.
I tell you, even somebody didn't like Bobby, they have to admire him because, you know, such a force. I mean, if you look at some games, It's like, like magic. Everything is possible, but it's not possible, of course. Nobody can repeat this. Only he was able to play like this.
And at this level.
Yeah, highest level. Yeah. Fantastic technique, Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Urgio,
Yeah.
for sharing with us and
Yes.
enjoying with us. This
Well, it was a
fantastic
little
games.
bit funny with some small mistakes and so, but very beautiful, you see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, for me, this night was like
The
forgotten
night is,
here. But
it's moving all over the board. You see,
he
like
came
this.
back just
yeah.
in time to
Yeah.
finish the game.
Well, yeah, beautiful.
True. Thank you, Mr. Urgio.
You're welcome.